The Mafia Boss's sister insulted the waitress. What she did next silenced everyone. The crystal glass shattered against the marble floor, echoing through the restaurant like a gunshot. Every conversation died instantly. Forks froze mid-air. A pianist's hands hovered above the keys. Even the clinking of dishes from the kitchen came to a halt. At the center of it all stood a young waitress, her hands trembling slightly, her apron stained with red wine, and across from her, a woman whose glare alone could make grown men look away. "You incompetent girl," the woman snapped, her voice sharp and cold. "Do you even know who I am?" The waitress lowered her gaze. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. It was an accident." "Sorry." The woman laughed bitterly. "Sorry doesn't clean a designer dress worth more than your entire life." A ripple of uneasy whispers spread across the room. Everyone knew who she was. Elena Moretti, sister of one of the most feared mafia bosses in the city. And the waitress. No one knew her name. Maya had been on her feet for 10 hours straight. Her shift had started before sunset, and now the city lights outside glowed like distant stars against the glass walls of the upscale restaurant. Her back ached, her feet burned, but she kept moving, because stopping wasn't an option. Not when rent was due. Not when her younger brother needed medicine. Not when this job was the only thing keeping her small family afloat. She had learned quickly. Smile, apologize, move on. No matter what. But tonight was different. The moment she saw Elena Moretti walk in, surrounded by luxury and arrogance, Maya felt the shift in the air. The manager had rushed forward, bowing slightly, practically tripping over himself to accommodate her. "Best table in the house," he had whispered. And now, here they were. A single slip of her hand, a tray tilting just enough, had turned Maya into the center of a storm she didn't ask for. "I expect you to be fired," Elena continued, her voice rising. Immediately, Maya swallowed hard. "I understand," she said softly. "But please, let me clean it first." Elena's eyes narrowed, surprised, not by the apology, but by the calm. Most people begged, most people panicked. This girl didn't. Instead, Maya crouched down and began picking up the shards of glass, one by one, careful not to cut herself. There was something quiet about her movements. Something steady, and that, more than anything, irritated Elena. "Look at her," Elena scoffed, glancing around at the watching crowd. "Acting like she has dignity." A few uncomfortable laughs followed, but most people stayed silent. Because no one wanted to be noticed. No one wanted trouble. But Maya didn't respond. She simply continued cleaning. What no one knew was that Maya had spent years learning how to stay calm in storms far worse than this. She had grown up in a neighborhood where shouting was normal, where fear was a daily companion. After their parents passed, she became everything for her younger brother, sister, guardian, protector. She had seen anger. She had seen cruelty. And she had learned one thing. Reacting only made it worse. So instead, she chose something else. Silence. Not weakness. Strength. Elena leaned back in her chair, clearly unsatisfied. "This is boring," she said. "I expected more drama." Her eyes flicked toward the manager. "Well, are you going to fire her, or should I call my brother?" That name hung in the air like a threat no one dared to acknowledge out loud. The manager hesitated. Sweat beaded on his forehead. I'll handle it, Miss Moretti," he stammered. But before he could say another word, "Wait." The voice came from the doorway. Low, calm, dangerously controlled. Every head turned. A man stood there, dressed in a dark tailored suit, his presence alone shifting the atmosphere. He didn't need to raise his voice. He didn't need to announce himself. People just knew. The room seemed to shrink as he stepped inside. Elena's expression changed instantly. "Brother," she said, her tone softening. Maya looked up. For a brief moment, her eyes met his. And something unspoken passed between them. Recognition. No, something deeper. Something human. He walked slowly toward the table, his gaze sweeping across the scene, the broken glass, the stained dress, the trembling staff. And then, he looked at Maya again. "Are you hurt?" he asked. The question stunned everyone, including Elena. Maya blinked, caught off guard. "No," she said quietly. "I'm fine." He nodded once, as if confirming something important. Then he turned to his sister. What happened? Elena crossed her arms. She spilled wine on me. Ruined my dress. And, he asked, and she needs to be fired, Elena snapped. Obviously. There was a pause. A long, heavy pause. Then he spoke again. Was it intentional? Elena frowned. What? Did she do it on purpose? But that's not the point. It is, he interrupted, his tone still calm, but firmer now. The room held its breath. He stepped closer to the table, his eyes never leaving his sister's. Because if it wasn't intentional, he continued, then what I see here is not a mistake. He gestured lightly toward Maya. I see someone working hard. Then toward Elena, and someone forgetting what that looks like. The silence that followed was suffocating. Elena's face flushed with disbelief. You're taking her side, she demanded. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he turned back to Maya. What's your name? Maya, she replied. Maya, he repeated, as if committing it to memory. Then he did something no one expected. He crouched down, right there, in the middle of the restaurant, and began helping her pick up the broken glass. A gasp rippled through the crowd. The most powerful man in the room, on his knees, cleaning a mess. Maya froze. You don't have to, she began. It's already done, he said simply. Their hands moved carefully, avoiding the sharp edges. For a moment, the world outside that small circle didn't exist. Just two people, one helping, one accepting. Elena stood there, stunned, humiliated, not because of the waitress, but because of what she was seeing. Her brother, someone she had always seen as untouchable, choosing kindness over power. Choosing humility over pride, and it unsettled her, more than any insult ever could. When the last piece of glass was cleared, he stood up. Bring another dress, he told Elena calmly. And pay for this one yourself. Her mouth opened, then closed. She didn't argue. For the first time that night, she didn't have words. The restaurant slowly came back to life. Conversations resumed, quieter now. More thoughtful, more aware. Maya returned to her duties, but something had changed. Not just in the room. In the way people looked at her. With respect, with recognition, as if she had always mattered, but no one noticed until now. Later that night, as the crowd thinned and the lights dimmed, Maya stepped outside for a moment of air. The cool breeze brushed against her face. For the first time all evening, she exhaled. You handled that well, she turned. He was standing a few steps away. No entourage, no intimidation, just a man. I just did my job, she said. He shook his head slightly. No, he replied, you did more than that. There was a pause. Most people would have fought back, he continued. Or broken down. Maya looked out at the city. Lights. I don't have the luxury of breaking down, she said softly. Something in her voice lingered. Something real. And he heard it. I grew up with nothing, he said after a moment. I know what that feels like. Maya glanced at him, surprised. Not because of the words, but because she believed them. I have a brother too, he added. You remind me of what matters. She didn't know what to say to that. So she didn't. They stood there in silence. Not awkward. Just quiet, like the kind of silence that doesn't need to be filled. Inside, Elena watched from a distance. Her expression no longer angry. Just thoughtful. For the first time in a long time, she saw something she hadn't before. Not power, not control, but something stronger. When Maya returned inside, she noticed something unusual. Elena was still there, waiting. Their eyes met. For a brief second, neither spoke. Then Elena stepped forward. She began, her voice uncertain. The room seemed to lean in again. But this time, there was no tension. Only anticipation. Elena looked at the young waitress, the same girl she had insulted, belittled, dismissed. And for the first time, she really saw her, not as a server, not as someone beneath her, but as a person, standing with quiet strength. And something inside Elena shifted. Something subtle, something real. She took a breath. I'll take responsibility for the dress, she said quietly. Maya nodded. That's kind of you, she replied. No sarcasm, no resentment, just sincerity. The moment passed, simple, but powerful. And in a room once filled with judgment and silence, Something else had taken its place. Something quieter, stronger, unspoken, but deeply felt.